So I think we can move on to from the health to a little bit on the wealth. So let's zoom on the wealth. So this was a picture that I tried to do I asked the AI to make it. So I was feeling quite proud of the fact that I could make a picture with the dollar under the microscope. And so let's see this. Let's make it a little more interactive because I don't want it to be like just a seminar and it's like a little boring. So we can just talk about it, okay? So because I'm just a hematologist, all of you know, I don't have any financial background about finance. So we can just sort of talk about it. So how many of you would want to retire? So when I say retire doesn't mean that you just stop working. When I say retire, basically means how many of you would want to be financially free, independent, so that you don't have to work for money. So anybody with me? Okay, there are some few people, I'm glad, okay. So at least you don't have to work for money. And if I ask you the question that how many of you would want to retire with 100 crores? Okay, I am glad, okay. So at least I have some people who would want to retire with. So I'll ask you the next question that how many of you would have a plan of retiring with 100 crores? Is there a plan in place? Oh wow, I'm glad that there are people in the plan. So I think all of us can together reach a value of 100 crores if possible. So I'll ask this next question. Anybody can identify this guy? Okay. So I think I'm so impressed. I mean, like I was probably the most ignorant one, but everybody knows about Warren Buffett here. So yesterday, Dr. Anil had asked about the WhatsApp guys who changed our lives, but I think none of us could answer. So definitely, I think finance is over even WhatsApp. So this guy is, of course, Warren Buffett. And you know what he says? One thing which, of course, he says is, if you don't have a way to make money while you're sleeping, basically if you don't have a way of making money from your money, then you will have to work for money for the rest of your life. So do we agree with that or no? So till a long time, I had really no idea about it. And being a doctor, I think we just miss out this phase when we don't even think of just investing our money. So if our aim is actually to retire with 100 crores and we have to make our money, work for money, then how do we do it? Obviously, if we do it in a planned way, it's going to be much more sensible, right? So let's go through the steps of making 100 crores in our lifespan. So the first step is, of course, we have to start early, okay? So as I have missed this phase of starting early because I got to know about it actually quite late and nobody guided me. So when my residents join now, I make sure that I guide them throughout this process right from the beginning. So start early. I'll give you an example of the start early thing. So there were two friends, Ram and Sham, okay. So Ram, both of them got a job at the age of 20 of rupees 25,000. So Ram was like a very sensible guy, as the name is quite suggestive. He said, I'm going to invest 10,000 rupees every month for the next 10 years from the age of 20 to 30. 30, he found a girlfriend, he got involved and then he stopped saving. He says, I can't save anymore. So stop saving. On the other hand, Sham found a girlfriend at 20 only. So he could not save any money. Finally, when the girlfriend left him at 30, he thought that, okay, fine, I'll also have to save some money. So Ram, I also will start investing 10,000 rupees every month. Now, Ram invested 10,000 rupees for only 10 years. That means the total amount he invested was just 12 lakh rupees. Sham, on the other hand, invested 3 times more than him. That is 36 lakh rupees. So by the time both of them were 20, sorry, it's already come. Okay, by the time both of them were 60, imagine that Ram actually had 3 times more money in spite of investing 1/3 amount than Sham. So Ram had about 16 crores and Sham had about 5 crores. So this is the impact of time we have on our investments. I'll give you another example of this time. There are these 4 scenarios. Again, investing just 1,000 rupees every month, just 1,000 rupees every month for 25 years. Another scenario, investing 1,000 rupees for 50 years, investing 1,000 rupees for 75 years and 100 years. So can you imagine the difference in the total amount which you will get after this? At the end of 25 years, if you keep investing 1,000 rupees a month, you will end up having 25 lakh rupees, which is also quite a substantial amount of money, I would say. But if you invest the same amount of money for another 25 years, you will end up having 8.5 crore rupees. And can anybody guess, if you keep investing it for another 25 years, what would it be? 30 crores. Anybody else? 25. Anybody else? just put one more zero to it. So you will actually have 285 crores. And if you save it for another 25 years, then what would it be? Little more. Okay, it's 9,000 crores, okay. So that is the power of compounding, which is added actually to the time. So it's just that, when I was a resident and my salary was around 20,000, and I actually thought that what is a big deal about saving 1,000 rupees? I'm not going to become a millionaire. Least that I knew that there is actually something like this compounding. Somebody had told me to just invest 1,000 rupees. I think I would have I would have reached at least 25 lakhs by now. This is with the 15% CAGR. Okay. So the next point obviously is that we have spoken about so much about compounding, but this is the first factor that you have to start early. What's the second thing what we have to talk about is now where to invest. Obviously, so there will be that these numbers have come because you have invested at a particular percentage, okay, which has compounded like this. Now where to invest? So can you give me some places that you would want to invest your money, which is like the most common, safest that you invest your money in? Mutual fund, okay. Nobody is investing in fixed deposits now? PPFs and Nifty. Nikhil is already actually like a pro, so I don't have to tell Nikhil. I think most of you would be, but still, I think in a formal way, if we go about it, then you can at least transfer this knowledge to your residents. So, of course, the fixed deposit. So, I know a lot of grandparents who used to just give, like the moment the child is born, they would just put aside some money and they will say this is for the child, when the child is growing up, they would put the money in the FD, which is probably right, and their thought was right that the money will grow. But unfortunately, FD gives us a return of only about 5 to 10%, 5 to 7%. Of course, others are PPF. So, PPF is another place where a lot of us invest our money, which is actually tax free, but there is a little amount of money that becomes tax free. So, not all can go in the PPF. Then you can have, but this also gives us a return of about 7 to 8%. Then you have the bonds, which can give you a return of about 9 to 10%. And of course, our new love, I think, is the stock market, which will give you a return of anywhere between 13 to 16%. I mean, if you're lucky, then you can even get 17%. If you're unlucky, then you might be actually lining up with just 12%. So on an average, we can say about 14 to 15%. So again, another question to you. If you invested 1 lakh rupees for 60 years in FD versus the stock market, what would be the difference? Okay, I'll give you what is the fixed amount after 60 years for an amount of 1 lakh invested for 60 years. It is roughly about, if we consider 7% return, it will be 58 lakh rupees after 60 years. Can you guess what it is for PPF? 58 crores. No, it's not that much. It's 1 crore. Okay. The bonds, you end up having 3 crores. And the stock market? 58. 58. Oh my God, this is actually like, okay, so it's about 43 CR. Okay, so 43 CR, if we consider 15%, if we consider 14%, then it will come down to about 30 crores. But anywhere between 30 to 43 crores is the amount that you can get with just 1 lakh invested one time for 60 years. And you can imagine the amount it will grow to if you just leave it for 100 years. I mean, like, of course, the wish list goes on and on and on, but so that's the different modes of investment. So the next question that anybody would ask is actually, because when I was growing up, everybody told me stock market is dangerous. So how many of you feel that stock market is dangerous? Okay, I'm glad there's some people who think that the stock market is dangerous, because otherwise I think most of you don't think it's dangerous. So can I know the reason why you don't think it's dangerous? Because you don't invest. Super. So Nikhil is a non-medico here. That's why he's like perfect with spot on answers. So basically with stock market, generally people have these 3 questions. One, of course, is it dangerous? Second, what is the guarantee that it will go up in the future also as it has gone up in the past? And the third, that do you need to have financial knowledge to invest in the stock market? So we'll answer these 3 questions. Is it dangerous? So of course, he said that because he doesn't invest, so that's the best way, that it is not dangerous, and it goes up or it goes down, it doesn't matter to us. Like, this is what happened to me actually. During the COVID time, My husband came back and he said, the stock market is falling, the stock market is falling. So I said, it's okay, it doesn't matter because we're not invested. We had no knowledge. The next day he comes again, he says, the stock market has fallen more. I said, so what's the point? What do you want? Nothing. Then he went back. The third day when it just fell down like crazily, he says, we have to invest. And I said, invest means like, what should I say? We have some money, should we go, please invest it somewhere, where, how, what to do? Like we were that ignorant and naive about it that we had really no knowledge about, both me and my husband were like this. We didn't know what to do. Like we thought that we should invest, but we had no idea how to invest, where to invest. So anyways, that was just, that was what triggered me because I had such bad experiences with the bank guys who just used to sell us policies for the commissions that they would get. So I said, I cannot trust anybody. I have to read about it now myself. So that's how the journey started. So coming back to this question, whether it is dangerous or it's not dangerous. So let's give an example again. Okay, so there are these two companies. In 1993, somebody who was in the stock market, there are these two companies. HMT watches were there and MRF tires was there. So again, Ram and Sham decided. Ram said, I am going to buy HMT and Sham said, I am going to buy MRF. So HMT was at rupees 25 that time and MRF was at 11 rupees that time. So both of them again invested for 30 years. After 30 years, so they invested 1 lakh rupees. So 1 lakh is just because I am using 1 lakh as a baseline here. So otherwise probably at that time they would have invested 1,000 or something like that. But let's say they invested 1,000 rupees for 30 years. What happens to HMT after 30 years and what happens to MRF after 30 years? So HMT remains at 27 rupees, okay, and MRF has gone to 1,20,000 rupees in the year 2023. So if you check it now, it is actually 1,40,000 rupees. So what does that mean? How much has your investment grown in HMT and how much has your investment grown in MRF? So in HMT, what has happened? No growth, okay. So the 1 lakh is actually 1 lakh and MRF is actually turned into 120 crores. So imagine the return for HMT was negative, whereas the return on MRF is actually 35% annually, which is a crazy amount of money. So you just imagine 1 lakh turning into 120 crores. Nobody would, if we had also invested just 1 lakh, then we would have not been sitting here. Probably we would buy Mindray. So it's basically, so of course if you say that if somebody looks at this scenario, they can say, I bought HMT, so it's a disaster and stock market is a disaster and you should not enter the stock market. On the other hand, somebody might say, I bought MRF and now I don't have to work, in my life anymore and I can just do whatever I want to. So I think stock market is great, but this clearly shows it seems like a gamble. So then what to do? Then what is the thing that you should do to avoid this scenario? Because you want MRF, but you might just land up having HMT. So what is it that you should do? Anybody? But obviously by what I'm saying is you should invest in the stock market, but how should you invest in the stock market so that you don't land up into a HMT type of a situation? Diversify, okay. Sorry, read. Give time, okay. So probably all of us don't have time and the background of reading. So if we just don't want to apply our brains and we want to use applied brains already, then the best is Nifty 50 and Sensex. So how many of you know what is Nifty 50? Or let me ask you, how many of you don't know what is Nifty 50? Are there any people who don't know what is Nifty 50 so that I can explain it to you what is Nifty 50? Because I didn't know what was Nifty 50. So okay, I have some candidates, so I'll say this. So basically, you must have heard about two exchanges in India. One is the National Stock Exchange and one is the Bombay Stock Exchange. So basically, the National Stock Exchange, the parameter that indicates what is happening, like, for example, there is a reticulocyte count that indicates what is happening in the bone marrow. Similarly, Nifty 50 indicates what is happening in the economy. So what they do is, like they take the top 50 companies of India. Okay, so of course you know that if you invest in the top 50 companies of India, your money is not going to go anywhere because they are the top 50 countries in India. So right now, these are the top 50 companies in India. They are Reliance, Infosys, HDFC, ICICI Bank and all these are. So when you invest in Nifty 50, that means your money is going into these 50 companies. Now let us say that HMT was one of these 50 companies. Okay. And because HMT did not perform, what Nifty 50 would do is reevaluate
and throw this HMT out of Nifty 50 and bring in another company which is doing well. So your money remains invested in the top 50 irrespective of anything, always in the top 50. And Sensex similarly is the top 30. So obviously Nifty will have the top 30 of the Sensex plus 20 another which are on the line. So your money is definitely safe. So you don't have to apply your brain. You just go and you just buy Nifty. What that I would have done if I had known during the COVID time that I have to put my money in Nifty 50, because that is like just brainless with no financial knowledge. Just keep doing a systematic investment plan every month in Nifty and you will be there at 100 crores. Oh. Yeah, I know. But this is for the next generation probably. Unwind and go back 20 years back. We want money counters. Okay. So now what's the guarantee that the market will go up? So I'll ask you a question. How many of you can tell me, answer this question, that after 30 years, if I ask you, will the market be better than today? It will be worse than today, or you will say, I can't predict, I don't know. Better. So how many say better? Quite a few of you. So how many say worse? Oh, I think. You think the Indian markets are going to be worse? Yes, okay. And how many of you say that I can't predict? Okay. So there are people who say I can't predict, but understand always one thing about the stock market, that man and the stock market eventually have to go up. There is no doubt about it. Okay. Eventual outcome of the man and the stock market is that they have to go up finally. And the reason for this, of course, is because whatever may happen, but the next generation will always lead a better life than the generation today. That even the king 500 years back had a worse life than yours. Like today you have mobile phones, you have fans, you have ACs, you have Netflix, you have Instagram. Poor king didn't have anything. He just had queens and who would just put. So it's basically the ability that we have for the consumption, that we will consume more and more as we go on further. So the GDP will go on increasing, the market has to eventually go up. So when we say it has to go up, we cannot predict for the next 1 year or 2 years, but definitely over a period of time like 5 or 10 years, definitely it will go up. Another 10 years you give it. So when you in the long term investment, there is no way that you can lose money in the market, for sure, all right. And then the third thing is, do you need financial knowledge to enter the market first of all? How many of you think that you need knowledge? You need knowledge. Okay. So if you don't have any knowledge, it is better than having knowledge. So as Warren Buffett says, he says that knowledge actually causes you to do a lot of analysis which leads to paralysis. So knowledge and skill which is required to make money in long term in the stock market is zero. And to lose money in the stock market is impossible if you are a long-term investor. Just trust this from the wise man and put your money, like if you want. Now the next question is that, so we have come through this, that we should be investing in Nifty possibly. Again, I should be putting a disclaimer here that I am not SEBI registered, I am not supposed to be saying all these things, but this is just to make your money grow if you want to. So the next question is, how do you buy Nifty? Like again, as I was ignorant at the time, that if somebody had told me to buy Nifty, but I did not know how to buy it. So Nifty can be bought in two forms. One is that you have a mutual fund and the other one is the ETF. As simple as that, I don't want to make it very complicated, but for a mutual fund, you don't need to have a demat account. For a mutual fund, you don't have to need a demat account. If you buy the same Nifty in the ETF form, which is like a stock form, then you need a demat account. You can open it through your bank account, and now there are so many apps through which you can actually buy it, and which is very easy to buy through Coin or ET Money or Angel. I'm sure that all of you must be using these apps by now, but you can just buy Nifty 50 very easily from any of these apps. So now coming back to 100 crores, okay, the figure that we started with. So how much do you think that we need to invest over a period of time so that we reach the value of 100 crores if we invest systematically every month? So giving you a ballpark figure of about, if you start investing at the age of 25,000 rupees every year till the age of 60, and 25,000 rupees every year, but this has to increase by 10% every year. Like the first year you start saving 25,000 every month, the next 12 months you start saving 25,500 every month, then you go to 30,000 every month in the third year, and so on and so forth for the next 60 years, and you will end up having 100 crores gradually over a period of time. It's just as simple as that actually. And like now we tell our residents, because the resident salaries are reasonable, that they can actually, if they want to, they can invest certain amount of money. I mean, like if they don't want to reach 100 crores and they want to reach 50 crores, they can invest half of this. Like you can start with 10,000, you can even start with 1,000. So, and you will reach value. I mean, like there are so many permutations and combinations that this is like either you start with 25,000, somebody who has the ability to save 50,000 also can save 50,000 rupees every month and increase it by 5% every year, and then also you will end up having 100 crores. So a lot of permutations, combinations are possible. And so the catch is that why don't all of us, because I think all of us save, but the catch of making a big amount is that you need time. That means that you have to start early. You have to have the discipline of doing a systematic investment plan every month without fail, and also have the patience to see your money grow. So don't keep seeing it every day, oh, what is happening today, because in the first 10, 20 years, nothing will happen, and suddenly one day you will start seeing that your money is actually growing like a big tree. And this is my last slide, and before I actually wind this up, I have actually sort of taken an initiative of transferring this information to as many people as I can around me. So what I do is that when a child is born, like my technical staff, any child is born, and if I want to give them a gift, I don't give them a gift. What I do is I give that amount of money to the child, like obviously to the parents, and I make them open a Nifty account right there in front of me, and I put that money in that account. So I say that this money is for the child when the child is 60 years old. So if I'm giving them 1,000 rupees, I just say put this 1,000 rupees in front of me in the Nifty account, and you will never see it again for the next 60 years. And at 60, what would be that 1,000 rupees be? Again, considering that we have a 15% growth in Nifty, it would end up giving that child 43 lakh rupees, which of course would not be 43 lakhs inflation adjusted, it would be less than that. But still, having a huge sum of money when you are 60 makes a difference. So with this, I'll end my presentation. Thank you.